Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I have special guest today. Peter Allard is our guest. He established the Allard Prize for International Integrity, and this is an award that's given biannually. I didn't say that correctly. It's given biannually. And it's to an individual, to a movement, or an organization that has shown exceptional courage and leadership in combating corruption and promoting human rights, especially through promoting transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. So welcome to our guest, Peter Allard, and he's also with Nicole. Tell me your last name again.
Nicole Barrett. I'm the executive director of the Allard Prize.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's so great to have. First of all, let's take a look at them. They look fantastic on this pic. This is the clearest Skype we've ever had doing this, so that looks great. So tell us about the Peter Allard Award. How did it got established in, 2012? When did it get established?
Okay, well, in 2009, the university approached me and asked me if I would match funds of $12 million with a law foundation in British Columbia. And I said, I don't just want to put money in bricks and mortar. We have to stand for something. And so that's when I said we have to stand for, every day there's decisions involving lawyers and judges, and the corruption is accelerating. And so we need to hold a candle out to the young students here and internationally, for people that are coming through, to understand that it's not all about money. And therefore, I insisted on the Allard Prize. So
tell me, the university, what university approached you?
University of British Columbia.
Oh, okay. So they approached you, and so tell us about some of your past winners.
Nicole.
Okay, so we have had, this will be the third Allard Prize ceremony. It's going to be September 28th, 2017, just in 10 days. The inaugural winner was Anna Hazare from India, who was an anti-corruption activist leading mass movements in India. We had two honorable mentions then. The first one was Global Witness, which is a non-governmental organization based in London that does anti-corruption, is their primary mandate. And also Sima Samar, who was an Afghani woman fighting for girls' education in Afghanistan. So that was the first year of winners. And then 2 years ago in 2015, because the award is every 2 years, we had a shared award from two African journalists, John Gathongo from Kenya and Rafael Marquis de Moraes from Angola. They split the award. They both were fighting corruption in their countries. And then we also had two honorable mentions at that time. One was the deceased Sergei Magnitsky, who was killed by the Russian authorities because he uncovered a large Russian governmental tax fraud. And so he was honored. His family came to accept the award. And the other was Indonesian Corruption Watch, which was a group of young Indonesians working in a non-governmental organization that was very instrumental in gathering all the evidence that would go to prosecute corruption cases in Indonesia. So this year we have three finalists, but the winner will be announced on the 28th.
So the winner's going to be announced on the 28th. How do you find these people who are fighting? These are amazing stories that you find, by the way. So these are amazing people with very little power somehow can stand up to power, expose the corruption, and win. It's amazing. How do you find these people?
So it's an open nomination process. Anyone can nominate anyone. So it's a very broad nomination, very democratic nomination process. We have a website. You can go on the website and nominate your anti-corruption hero today. You can nominate several people. And we've received over 260 nominations from 70 countries this year. And, hopefully we'll keep receiving more and more. And then we have a very lengthy process where we go and pick. We have committees, advisory boards that go through and select the winners. We reduce it down to a group of 10 finalists at the end and do extensive due diligence on them. And then it depends. It doesn't have to be 3 finalists, but this year there are 3 finalists. And then ultimately at the award ceremony, we announce the winner.
Well, this is. I know Glenn Greenwald's going to be there this year. Can I say that?
Yes, you can. Glenn is going to be our keynote speaker, and we're very excited about that. And interestingly, I can tell you a bit about the three finalists for this year. One is Operation Car Wash from Brazil, which
So
is
that
a
is
team
that is quite an amazing name. Car Wash Task Force is what.
Yes.
They're a finalist for this prize, and they're an anti-corruption prosecution task force. So tell us about them in Brazil. This is amazing.
So they are a team of prosecutors. There are 14 of them. And we think now that about 10 of them will be coming to accept the award. And they have been prosecuting the top corporate officials and government officials in Brazil. Corruption has been a widespread problem in Brazil for a long time. And so they are instrumental in bringing those prosecutions. And so it's quite a young team of prosecutors, very idealistic, and they're really fighting for change in their country. So that's the one finalist, and then we have two others. We have Khadija Ismailova, who's an Azerbaijani investigative journalist, and she's exposed the corruption of her government and the government's family. Basically, huge sums of money that should be going into Azerbaijan's schools and healthcare system is going to buy mansions for the family. And then we also have an Egyptian lawyer named Aziz Solomon. She's a human rights defender. She mostly works on women's rights cases. And she is our third finalist. This year, both Aziz Solomon and Khadija Ismailova are on government travel bans. So their governments have prohibited them from traveling. So it's quite a challenging situation in both of those countries.
So let me. So I mean, these are amazing people. I'm so glad you bring them to our attention and you give them, awards that will help them do better work. But I wanted to ask Peter. Peter, why do you care about this stuff? Where does this come from inside of you? Now you're a very successful lawyer, and why do you care?
Well, I've got a whole list of stories I could tell you, but we were in banking and trust companies and all kinds of different business arrangements for years. And when we saw the 2006, 2008 collapse, we knew it was coming. It was just a question of when. And so for me, it was just a continuing outrage of non-accountability, especially in the banking system.
So it was just about you wanting to get accountability into our into the economy. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, just not the economy. This has to do with lawyers and judges and the whole systemic corruption of the system. And so basically I wanted to expose it by putting people out there that young people can see are holding up a light of what justice should be all about. So that was the best way for me to most effectively try and make that happen.
So yeah, I'm just trying to understand where does that come from? You think inside of you, like why do you have this? Where other lawyers don't. Other lawyers will go out and make their millions and they don't care, but you seem to have a real streak of wanting to do good. Why is that?
Well, I think my father basically told us that when you're doing business, other people's money is more important than your own money, and you'd better treat it that way. So he was extreme inspiration for all of us. He was a hard worker. He was a chief surgeon of the general. He'd go visit his patients in the morning and tell them what he was going to do. He wouldn't operate unless he had to. Then he was involved in all kinds of businesses, but the principles are the same. And I think that the principles have departed us since the not the mid '60s. They just disappeared.
So yeah, I feel like we live in the West in a lawless culture where there's law and order for poor people and working people, but there's no law and order for anyone else. And so. What do you think has led to? I mean, it's great that you're highlighting these people, these independent journalists, and these muckrakers, and these people who are exposing corruption. Why do you think that the news media doesn't do that anymore, like they used to?
Well, you've basically you basically hit the nail on the head. But it's basically money, and we all slower, sometimes faster, succumb to, it's my neighbor, I don't want to get involved. He's a member of the club. I'm busy doing what I'm doing. I don't want to be bothered. And then all of a sudden you realize it's worse than you thought, and nobody at the top gets prosecuted. So my main argument is that you prosecute everybody at the top, especially the people at the top, because how can you hold your head up if little people are having to pay these horrendous penalties and jail time for very small infractions?
Yes, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I just wish that Lloyd Blankfein would have had a joint in his pocket when he crashed the economy, because maybe we could have had a reason to put him in jail, right? It's kind of ridiculous what happens. I
thought that given the savings and loan, which I lived through and watched, that there would be about 10,000 people in jail and about 100,000 charged, equivalent to the savings and loan. And that didn't happen, and it still hasn't happened, and you have to ask yourself why.
Well, in case of what you just said, it's the money, right? So Barack Obama, we have to, if you're going to say, just like Dylan Radigan says, if you're going to think that Trump is corrupt because he takes money to do these deals, well, you have to then think the same thing about Barack Obama, who took payoff from the Wall Street, so we don't have a functioning financial service sector. That's Dylan Radigan, and he's an award-winning economic journalist, so I'll take his word for it. And he's also paid off, so we didn't have a public option or a functioning healthcare system like you have in Canada. So right now, actually, let me just get off a little bit. There's a Medicare for All push. There's a single-payer push happening in America. Rachel Maddow last night, she's the liberal TV host of note, did not even mention it yesterday. Bernie Sanders introduced the bill. He announced it at a big press conference with his 8 co-sponsors. Everybody who wants to be a Democratic presidential candidate is signing on to this because they know the base likes it, except the liberal political newscaster of note, Rachel Maddow, the #1 cable newscaster right now, did not even mention it. What do you think of something like that?
It's an embarrassment. It's a complete embarrassment. It's basically state-controlled media. That's what we've got.
How so? People would say, no, that's a private company. It's owned by Comcast. How could that be state-owned? What do you mean?
Well, a handful of people are basically pulling the strings. That's what's happening.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, and we know. Joy-Ann Reid, who's a weekend host and a fill-in host on MSNBC, she just tweeted out a thread yesterday, and she said, I find it absolutely ridiculous that people think a giant company like Comcast tells a weekend host what to say. What do you say to someone who says that?
I would say it looks to me like they're reading scripts.
Yes. Yeah, it looks to me like they're reading script, too. I have to remind people that MSNBC in the United States, which is considered, they're the lefty news source, they fired Phil Donahue because he was against the Iraq War. He was right about the Iraq War. They fired him. They said it was because he had low ratings. He had the highest ratings on the network at the time, and you never see him on MSNBC anymore. You would think they would want to have the people who got the Iraq War right on TV all the time. Why do you think we don't see the Iraq War people who got it right on TV?
Yeah, because everybody's in line for the money. Everybody's bought.
So how do we get out of this, Peter? I mean, you're smarter than me, obviously. There's a law school named after you. How do we get out of this? I mean, what you're doing is great.
I've been watching your show for quite a bit now, and you're basically a different, more modern version of George Carlin with Truth to Power. But I think exposure and what you're doing in terms of exposure is critical to people's awareness. And it's really hard now that there's social media out there because people aren't paying as much attention as they should to their very basic rights.
So, we just had the anniversary of 9/11 in the United States. And I was wondering how is that viewed in Canada, right? So how do people look at it? Do they buy the government story of how that happened, or what do they think about it?
Well, I can't speak for all Canadians. I can just speak for myself. Is that a lot of this is motivated by the wrong reasons, to go in and do good, but rather to go in and make money.
Yeah, that seems to be. But hasn't the United States foreign policy been nothing but let's invade a smaller, poorer country so we could get their natural resources and give it to a Western corporation?
Well, I think that's been going on since about 1776, hasn't it?
You know what? Now that I think about it, yes, you're right. You know, I'm not a history surgeon, but I'm pretty sure that's when it started. Okay, so Peter, what else would you like to tell us about this award? I mean, this is a great thing. You're supporting muckrakers, right? Which we don't have anymore. You know, Jordan Cheriton does great work for the TYT network. He's been in Flint, and I say, what do the other local reporters in Flint do? And he said, there's lots of them. They don't do anything. They sit in the back of the room. They never ask a question. They never push anybody to answer anything, and they get a sound bite, and they figure like they feel they've covered it, and they go home. Right. So that's the state of even local news is corrupted. So you don't have any more ideas? Because I'm really frustrated.
Well, it is. It all comes down to infrastructure. You haven't put your money in infrastructure where there's jobs created at the local level, so that there are people who can afford to live decently and also to determine who's going to give them their news. Everything's consolidated now.
Yeah, everything is. Well, that's big. Thank God. That's thanks to Bill Clinton in the United States anyway. He took 50 media companies, passed the Telecommunications Act, and now we have 6 media companies. So I think that's why we have. I say this over and over, but I say it because I think it really needs to sink in for people. The United States is the richest country the face of the earth has ever seen. Half its residents are poor or low income, and I call that a failed system. Do you call that a failed system?
I call it obscene.
Right, obscene. And you know, Paul Krugman wrote articles in 2013 and 14 talking about if the Democrats don't address income inequality, we're headed for fascism. Well, we got it. And the Democrats still seem like they don't want to wake up. Do you think the Democrats will ever wake up?
Oh, now you're asking me a tough question. I don't know if I want to go into U.S. politics from Canada.
Oh, okay.
I might have trouble going across the border, but I'm not kidding.
Okay. I know you're not. I know. I've had a nephew who had some trouble getting back across the border. I know. So so just tell us some more about this award. It's fantastic. You have 3 people. You can't tell us who the winner is, but we know Glenn Greenwald will be there. What's the date? When are you giving this away?
September 28th at 6:30. We'll also live stream it to the world. So people can go on to our website at allardprize.org, ALLARDPRIZE.org, and there'll be a live stream there, and you can link to it. So from 6:30 till about 8 o'clock, we'll have the award ceremony. We have some videos of each of the finalists' work, and then one of the things that really brings a common denominator for all of the prize winners is that they're very effective at what they do. So we look for courage and for leadership, and so we look for people who actually are making a big difference in the world. So we hope that you will be inspired, that you'll tune in, that you'll watch the ceremony and be inspired and be moved to do something to fight corruption in the way that you can best where you are.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. You're going to live stream that. That is great. I'll tweet that out. We'll put a link to that live stream underneath this video so everybody can check that out. It'll be fantastic. So that's September 28th at 6 p.m. And that
6:30. And if anyone's in Vancouver, British Columbia, they should come down to the old auditorium at UBC, the historic old auditorium. And they have to get tickets from our website, but they can go online to do that. And it's allardprize.org. And there'll be a link for tickets right there. So please come and join us if you're in Vancouver, and join us on the live stream otherwise.
All right. Everybody should check that out. I'll be checking it out. I want to hear what Glenn Greenwald has to say more. I think more than anything, that'll be really interesting. Okay, well, thank you so much. The Peter Allard, the Allard Prize for International Integrity. That's what we're talking about. He's supporting muckrakers. He's supporting people who expose corruption at the highest levels of government. And he's doing a great job helping publicize these people. So I just want to say thanks for taking time to talk with us today. And thanks for doing what you're doing. The world needs it right now.
Thank you for your service, Jimmy. Truth to power is the most important thing we need at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Peter,
Yeah, you're welcome.
and hopefully we'll have you on soon again. Hey, everybody, we have 2 live Jimmy Dore shows in September. September 25th, we're in San Diego, and September 18th in Burbank, California. Get your tickets right there. There's a link right there.